don't know what they.
Well, we were right there.
Good, how are you, Bill? See you getting sworn. Oh, you've already been sworn.
Not very good.
That's right.
Here we are. Get your speech all prepared.
What speech?
I'm going to give you a few minutes after we kick you out to you say anything about it.
How you doing?
Colin's mom.
So yeah, you might. You know, I'll just after we
Good to see you guys here. You had to take a picture.
seat the new members, I'll just give you. Actually, I'll probably do it before we do the new ones. We'll do retired member, and I'll give you a minute just to speak for a minute, and then we'll do the oaths of office for the new ones after that. So that sounds good.
Can you give me the plaque?
Yeah, you gotta get that over there.
Room for one car in the showroom, 2 service bays.
Colin, will you offer the opening statement tonight? Okay, and Councilmember Reeser. Good. Oh, other denominations? We haven't reached out to them, but it probably wouldn't be. Yeah, no, that'd be fine. I noticed up in St. Anthony they had, and what do they call the Indian? What's their religion? It was not Buddhist. It's anyway. He was from one of the Indian religions. Was passing through, I guess, or he was there for something. And they had him say their prayer, and it was kind of cool. So. Yeah, I think it'd be fine. In fact, maybe what we ought to do is even have Deborah send out a note to all of the churches in town and say, hey, if you ever want to offer an opening prayer for us, we're welcome to. So, yeah, that'd be fine.
Hey, how are you? It's good to see you.
Yeah. Have you been up on any climbs this winter up on Table Mountain? Is there quite a bit of snow up there? Not as much as usual. Yeah. Still climbable though. I mean, are you snowshoeing? Yeah. Okay.
And it was really like a Saturday was so bad. It snowed like 8 inches this year.
Oh, so it's just really heavy.
So heavy, you know.
Oh.
Of course, I'm
I think Reeser's coming, and yeah, I didn't hear anything that he wasn't.
Until tonight.
He is for a few more minutes. He's getting fired tonight, like all the football coaches.
You've been up here for 4 years?
8 years.
Oh, 8
Yeah.
years. Oh, I'm just wondering, can you only do it twice a year?
No, you can go as long as people keep electing you.
How are you doing?
That's what my wife keeps saying too.
Will Alicia come up?
Yeah, we'll seat her. We'll have him. He has to vote on a couple of year-end things first that pertain to last year, and then we'll release him, and then we'll swear Alicia and Bill in, and Colin, and then Mike will just be an ordinary citizen after that. Yeah, thank you. An ordinary citizen, but never to be the same, right? Dave, how are you?
She does that a lot. It's okay. That's okay.
haven't sent my. No, I don't. I've done that. Hopefully I can go. Right around in here, so right after this. Okay. I saw you had kids with you in church, I thought, oh, that's just sweet.
All right, it's time to get started. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate your attendance here with us tonight. This is the City Council meeting of January 7th, 2026 of the City of Rexburg. And we'd like to start off this evening with a prayer and a pledge allegiance to the flag. And so I've asked Councilmember Colin Erickson to offer the opening prayer for us, after which I've asked Councilmember David Reeser to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Erickson.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are so thankful to be here tonight, to be able to gather. Father, we're thankful for this great community and this city that we live in. We're thankful for the many people and their willingness to serve one another and work together as a families to be able to make this a family community. Father, we ask that you please bless us and bless our citizens, and that they may continue to work together and continue to love each other and try to do the best for this community. Please bless us this evening that we may be able to communicate and make good decisions and do the best we can. Father, we ask the blessing upon our weather, that we may be able to get the moisture we need for our crops and everything through this next coming year, that we may be able to get that moisture that we need. We ask that you continue to bless us and watch over us and continue to bless this community. We ask and do this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Can you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to make note and appreciate the fact that Councilmember Erickson mentioned the snow, the weather. I know we're all enjoying kind of a mild winter, but when it comes next summer and it's 90 degrees and we want water, we do need some snow. And so I encourage you to hope and pray and whatever you feel like doing for additional snow, and especially in the mountains. But we do even need some on the ground here in the valleys to soak into the ground and have available for our water for next year. So thank you for that, Councilmember Erickson. All right, at this time, we'd like to go ahead with the roll call of the City Council members. Mariana, please.
Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Colin Erickson.
Here.
Councilmember Eric Erickson.
Here.
Councilmember Reeser.
here.
Councilmember Riggins.
Here.
Council President Walker.
Here.
All right, thank you. We have a full council tonight. I'm glad you're all here. All right, item number 3 is we need to amend the agenda. We had a couple things come up after the agenda was printed. So as per Idaho State Statute 74-2044B, we need to amend the agenda to include item 8B1 to resolution number 2026-03, the TAP grant for Teton River Connecting Path Extension, and another item 822, to be able to surplus some personal printers that we have. So I would entertain a motion at this time to be able to amend the agenda as stated. Is there such a motion?
Mayor, make that motion to amend the agenda.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Colin Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Eric Erickson. I guess, I don't know, were you first or does it matter? Okay. All right. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, actually, sorry, I think we need a roll call vote to amend the agenda. So, Mariana, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Colin Erickson.
Yes.
Councilmember Eric Erickson.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeser.
Yes.
Councilmember Reagan.
Yes.
Council President Walker.
Yes.
All right, that is unanimous. We will go ahead and amend the agenda as stated. All right, item number 4. This is a little bit out of order because we normally do this at the end of the meeting, but since we're going to be changing over some council members, we're going to do this at this time because it has to do with our last meeting. So, the consent calendar consists of minutes from the December 17th, 2025 meeting and the approval of the City of Rexburg bills. I would entertain a motion at this time to approve the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, I still move that we can approve the consent calendar and pay the bills.
All right, as your last official motion,
The
Council
last
President
official
Walker moves to approve the consent calendar. Thank you. Appreciate that effort. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Reeser. Any further discussion or questions on the consent calendar about the minutes or the bills? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will go ahead and pay the bills and enter the minutes. All right, at this time, I would like to ask Council Member Michael Walker to come down off of the podium and come out front here, if you would, please. All right. I'm gonna set these things just right here for a minute, so they don't blow up. John, will you go ahead? Yeah. With my leg. Everybody's running. All right. We have a plaque here for Council President Walker, and it says, "The City of Rexburg would like to thank Michael D. Walker, City Council member, for dedicated service from January 3rd, 2018 to January 8th, 2026. Actually, a little bit more than 8 years. 8 years and 5 days. There you go. In recognition of significant contributions to the betterment of the City of Rexburg." And can I just say that that is very true, not only in his council member days, but as the one of the head of our EMTs, our Emergency Services Division. Mike has served the city for 40, almost 50 years. Yeah, that's pretty dang good, and we appreciate every minute of it. I've really appreciated Mike as council member and council president for all of the advice and counsel he's given me, and for his courage in the face of adversity sometimes as a council member. Sometimes it takes that, and I just want to tell him thank you, and we appreciate it very much. I have a plaque. We have a nice red blanket to keep you warm on some of these cold winter nights that we're all praying for, right? As well, and your name plaque, we'll give you that. You can put that on your desk at home so that your wife will respect you for a long, long time. Give you a nice warm blanket. It says, "Thank you for your service, America's family community," and a mug that says, "Thank you for being awesome." So, you know what, Mike? Let me take these and set them right here, and I'm going to give you a minute to speak, and then you can just pick these up on your way out if you want. Does that sound good? That way you don't have to handle them while you're talking.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'd like to thank the city for giving me this opportunity to serve. It's been a good 8 years. I've enjoyed it, and that's less time for somebody else to serve now. But I just wanted to let you know that each one of these council members up here do not have their own agenda. They all are one betterment of the city is in their mind. So the way they vote is their conscience, and I honestly believe that they are here to do their best. And it's been an honor for me to serve the community, and I want to leave. I'm just going to not be here.
You can come back once in a while.
Anyway, I just want to thank everybody, and it's been an honor.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see. On the website that we were looking at, the state website that talks about what to do when you have a council member retire, it said dismissal of city council members, and I said to Deborah, that sounds a little harsh. Why don't we put release? That sounds a little nicer. So anyway, we changed that a little bit. But all right, so now item number 6 on the agenda is the oaths of office for our newly elected city council members and the re-election of one of our members. So I will ask our city clerk, Deborah Lovejoy, to administer the oath of office to our new council members and returning council member. I'll come over here. I'll come over here too.
Colin, can we have you come up first? Okay, could you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I state your name.
Colin Erickson.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Idaho.
You don't say that?
Yep.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Idaho.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of council member of the city of Rexburg according to the best of my ability.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of council member of the city of Rexburg according to the best of my abilities. Thank you.
We also have a certificate of election for you as well. Could I get Alicia Tejan? Would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I state your name. I, Alicia Tejan, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Idaho. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Idaho. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of council member of the city of Rexburg according to the best of my ability. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of council member of the city of Rexburg according to the best of my ability. Welcome. This is your copy, and I leave this for my records. And here is your certificate of election. Thank you. And then, would you please take your place? Okay, and then we do have, Councilmember Riggins, if you would please, we've got to swear you in for this term.
Councilmember Riggins has already done this once, but not very long ago, but we have to do it again. So now
And I state your name.
William J. Riggins, Jr.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Idaho.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Idaho.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of council member of the city of Rexburg according to the best of my ability.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of council member of the city of Rexburg according to the best of my ability.
And Deborah, while you're up there, we'll just down there for a second. Okay, thank you very much. It's exciting to have new council members, and we appreciate those who have served, and look forward to serving for the next 2 years with the newly elected officials. So we appreciate that. Right now, with the newly elected members here, we have to elect a council president. So before you, you've got a ballot for those who expressed a willingness to serve as council president. So at this point in time, I would ask you to just go ahead and check your ballot, vote for it, and we'll have Deborah collect those, and then we'll just move forward with that fairly simply. So take that. We appreciate, I appreciate especially all of those who who have visited with me about the job of council president. Appreciate each one of you for your willingness to help out. It does carry a little bit more responsibility and a teeny little bit more pay, but not much. So I appreciate those of you who are willing to step up and do that and take on some more responsibility that way. Thank you very much. So, you know what? Why don't we? Oh. Oh boy. Councilmember Eric Erickson. Okay. All right. Congratulations. Oh, Eric Erickson. Okay. All right. Well, congratulations, Councilmember Erickson, and thank you. Appreciate you and all of you who expressed an interest in helping to do that, and we will talk about those responsibilities some more later. And I guess it doesn't matter. We've always kind of had the council president sit right here, but since you're right here, I guess it doesn't really matter. So we can do left and right. It doesn't matter too much. So yeah, that'll work. In fact, in past years, we might have had it here. It just kind of worked out that way last time. So, okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to item number 7. We have a time for public comment. This is for a time when things that are not on our agenda. If anyone would like to make us aware of anything or talk about anything, we would ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address, and let us know what your thoughts are. Is there anyone that would like to speak at this time? Yes, come on up.
Hello, Corbin Tejan. Address is 706 Lodgepole Street. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the growth in Rexburg for Project Citizen. Me and my group are kind of focusing around that. We wanted to talk about the growth in Rexburg, of course, but it's a very large project, as I'm sure you're aware. There's much that entails. So we decided.
Repeat what your project is again. I didn't catch that very well.
Yeah, so we're just talking about like the growth in Rexburg.
The roads?
Growth.
Oh, growth. Sorry,
yes.
Growth. Okay.
No, yeah, you're good. Yeah, so as I'm sure you're aware, Rexburg has grown drastically in the past 10 years between 2010 to 2020. Those last two censuses. As much as almost 50%, right? Or almost double, sorry. When someone does the math, it has gone from 2010, from being 25,000 all the way till 2026. If it had stayed the same steady growth, we would be at 48,000, almost 50,000 today. And that is, like I said, almost double the growth. And reasons for growth is one, BYUI. As I'm sure you're aware, they're contributing greatly. And growth is not necessarily a huge problem, but it can cause problems here and there, right? There's economic opportunity here. There's lots of migration into Idaho. There's a lot of outdoor amenities such as hiking, fishing, hunting, Yellowstone, skiing, and plenty more. There's a great quality of life here in Rexburg. There's a great school system, and it's just a safe place to live. It's ranks 10th in the U.S. as the safest city, which is amazing. I think that's super awesome. But this can also, growth can, like I said, cause problems. Housing has gone up 37.6% year-to-year increase. Traffic congestion, there's tons of it, as I'm sure you're aware. Infrastructure strains such as sewer lines, water, low resources, and then there's also some missed opportunities, I feel like, with people moving out because there's not somewhere to stay for them, and we would have missed out on all the intellect and the great contributions that could have been provided by people. And then things that we've done greatly that I think are amazing is we've brought in a lot of restaurants, which have been awesome, and a lot of new buildings and a bunch of new businesses as well. The fiber optic internet that was newly introduced, has been amazing. And then sustained safety and education, and then the new diverging diamond intersections over by the highway. Those have helped with congestion on the roads. And so, yeah, like I said, we're doing growth, but that's a big problem, and there's a lot that it entails. And so we decided to focus mainly on public transportation and how that could potentially help Rexburg. Public transportation could reduce congestion, make road use more efficient, less parking pressure, infrastructure longevity, as in roads would get less wear and tear, and so there would need to be less road work. Diverse housing options, people could live farther away because they wouldn't have to drive so far. They wouldn't have to use so much gas. Economical growth. Studies show that economical growth of 5 to 1 comparison economical return for every dollar with public transportation. It provides environmental benefits. We wouldn't have so much gas and carbon footprint in the air, and less danger, less cars, less pedestrians, more people taking the buses, just safer overall. And then I just had a few questions for you guys. What has already been done to compensate for the large growth?
What has been done? Well, we've put in a lot of new infrastructure, of course, new streets and sewer lines, water lines. We're just trying to keep up with all of those things. I would say, in general, just trying to have, we have 2 new parks actually designed and coming online to help accommodate the growth of the usage of the parks. Let's see, what else we got? I'll phone a friend here on the council and see if we got any other ideas. Mr. Davidson, our Public Works Director, in the back there.
Yeah, so with growth, we have different things that the city's put in place. So we have impact fees.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So as the population increases, those impact fees come back into the city to help expand infrastructure. So water and sewer, we have capacity fees that go to expand our system. We have police and fire impact fees that come back to help expand our police and fire, as well as we've got street impact fees. So the trip generations from businesses, residences, those come back in to help fund those enhancements, signals, street widening, different things that's going to help the congestion with that. And so we have those things, and then we also have park impact fees. So that goes to help expand our parks, right? So we try, and then that's things that the city council has put in place a number of years ago to help with all this growth that's coming to Rexburg.
That's great. Thank you.
And maybe just to expand on that a little bit, the impact fees are paid by the new businesses and residences that are built. So if you're a business and you build a new building, our staff calculates how many cars might be coming to that business. In the case of all these car washes, how much water and sewer they're going to be using, and that they pay some pretty substantial fees because they use a lot.
Yeah.
And so all of that money goes into our budget to help save up to be able to, so that when we need to do a new water project or a new sewer project, we have the money there to be able to do it and not have to float a bond and ask the voters to pay more for it. So if you're a resident, you pay, like a parks fee, but if you're a business, you don't pay a parks fee, impact fee, because we figure the people are already here, they're living in the residences, So it's a little different for businesses and residences. Some pay more fees than others. It just depends on what kind of usage or what kind of impact, you have on the community, and that's why they're calculated that way.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, has the city looked into public transportation before, and do you guys see it as like something that would be beneficial?
Yeah, we've actually looked at it quite a bit. I've gone to some transportation department meetings over in Boise, and we've talked to a couple of companies that do not like big buses and stuff, but they do like mini buses and things like that will run around town, and people can dial them up on their phones and things like that to get rides. And so we're looking at a lot of different alternatives because the big bus systems are super, super expensive, and we just don't really have the budget money to be able to do something like that. But we're looking at some different alternatives, and because we think you're right. If we can take a fair number of cars off the road and alleviate some of the parking pressures and things like that, we feel like it would be something worth taking a look at.
Thank you.
So,
that's awesome. You already mentioned the budget. What are some other problems that you would say with public transportation?
You run into things like, for example, if we were to try to do the big buses, then you have to start figuring out, okay, where are we going to put bus stops, and are we going to have to take out parking spaces to do bus stops, and places where they can pull over and stop, and then you've got to put in, not only you got to buy the buses, you got to pay for the bus stops and the shelters and all those kind of things. So there's a lot involved with it. Other issues, just, if you get bigger buses, they're heavier, and so that's maybe even more impact on the streets than some smaller cars. So, there's kind of, when I start going like this, I'm like, is this weird? But there's things that you have to weigh out, as to what's better, this or this, kind of a thing. So, yeah, go ahead.
I think there's two major issues with public transportation that as we've looked at it, as I've looked at it. One is weather.
Councilmember Riggins, would you pull your mic down and turn it on? Yeah. Thank you.
So one is weather, and the other is the mentality of the people in our community. BYU Idaho has for years tried to emphasize the idea of having a walking campus. I've been here for 20 years, and the young people are going to bring their cars. If we could eliminate 50% of the cars that the students bring, then we look at public transportation and say, wow, we need it. And we do need it. I'm not saying we don't, but it's the mentality, right? Kids coming from California, from wherever, they're not used to public transportation. And so you have to change that mentality.
It's kind of a chicken and the egg thing, isn't it, Councilmember Riggins? Because a lot of times they bring cars because they're like, well, there's no other way to get around, so it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. And we actually did a survey several years ago of BYU Idaho students, not only single students, but married students, and I think it was something like 46% said that they would be interested in using public transportation if it were available. So I think, they're probably And then and of course, if we had a good system available, then maybe they'd start thinking about not bringing a car, because if you think about it, it'd save students a lot of money, because they wouldn't have to pay for a car, they wouldn't have to pay for insurance, they wouldn't have to pay for gas. You could pay a few bus rides for the cost of having a car. So, there's pros and cons to it, and the other con, I guess, of not having a car is that I think people think, well, if I want to go to Idaho Falls, or if I want to go to Yellowstone, or if I want to do this, then I don't have a car, right? But there's been ways that they've talked about maybe setting up, if you do get a public transportation system, maybe set up a way that you could have some rental cars available that students could just, get on their phones and rent one real quick and be able to jump in it and go. And that would all take a whole lot of figuring out how the best way to do it is. But, there's ways. And so I think we just have to be creative and look at all of the different things to consider and see what we think will work the best. But, yeah, we definitely are taking a look at it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then, my last question was going to be, how else have we seen growth affect Rexburg outside of some of those that I mentioned?
Well, just, housing pressure. Cost of housing is, as you mentioned, has gone up tremendously in the last 10 years or even less. But so that's been one of the effects. And I think we're starting to see more. Well, you've already mentioned some of these things, congestions on the roads and things like that, which we're always looking at ways to how can we alleviate that and make that better. But we also have to be aware that our state and our country actually values personal property rights pretty highly too. So we can't really infringe on people's rights to sell property and things like that in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of things that you have to consider both ways.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
If I could. Two other issues that have kind of arisen in the last number of years, and that is connectivity. We have a river running through town, and with only really one way across to connect north and south. And then we have a freeway on the west side of town that separates Rexburg from a lot of growth on the west side. So there's some connectivity problems that growth has brought to us that we've got to address. And we've done we've tried to do that. We've had some grants that kind of disappeared on us that we were hoping to get to be able to study the connectivity problems, particularly across the freeway. There are some, we're looking at different bridges across the river, and so those are other issues that we've got to address sooner than later, really.
Yeah. So those are a lot of the things. So if you've got other questions and things, I would invite you to Mr. Davidson in the back that spoke. He's our Public Works Director, and him and Scott Johnson, who is our Economic Development Director. They're the ones that did the survey on public transportation. So if you'd like to visit with them and get some more information, that'd be great.
For sure. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you. Appreciate your interest in our community. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to make any comments from public comment? Yes. Yes, sir. Normal citizen Walker.
It's good. When I stood up earlier, my mind just went blank, but I got to thank the city staff. They're pretty amazing. You got some good staff members, and without them, the city would not work. We could sit up there all day long, nothing happened unless it was for the city staff. So I'd like to just thank the city staff and everybody else.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's awesome that your first appearance as a citizen was a compliment, not a complaint. Thank you. We appreciate that. All right. Okay. Let's move. Let's see. Was there any other comments before we move on? Okay. Hearing none. We'll move on to item number 8A, the finance report with our CFO, Mr. Matt Nielsen. Item number 1 is resolution number 2026-02 to amend and restate the City of Rexburg salary reduction plan to approve ratification of the Roth 401k contribution option required by December 31st, 2025. Also, adopt plan amendments related to the Secure Act 2.0, and we will have an exhibit up for that.
Yeah, and you just pull the resolution.
It always sounds kind of ominous to say salary reduction plan. It makes people nervous, but
Well,
we find out that
IRS says that the reason they call it that is it reduces your income for taxable purposes.
Okay, all right, we get that.
You pay less tax because of that pre-tax benefit, right?
Right.
And so anyways, what this is it's actually kind of a two-part thing. So we needed to amend the plan before December 31st so that employees would be allowed to do Roth 401k. So in other words, post-tax contributions. It's always just been pre-tax for the city of Rexburg. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is this Secure Act 2.0 checklist. So this has to be done by, that part of it has to be done by December of 2026. But we just figured, you know what, if we're gonna amend it, let's just hit it now, which we can do. And so really we've done that. And if you go through the checklist, I'm not gonna bring it up and I'll maybe hit just a few of them, but if you guys wanna talk about anything on the checklist, we're welcome to. A lot of them don't apply to our plan. But some of them that we did add some things regarding beneficiaries. We did a mandatory cash out threshold, which basically means that if somebody leaves employment and they have less than $7,000 in there, we can say, take your plan somewhere else to be managed, because we pay some management costs associated with it, right? And then the other thing we did is we elected to allow loans for qualified disaster recovery. And we don't decide that. That's federal government decides whether it's a disaster. So like the Teton flood would have been an example of that. And we elected to recommend to you, and when I say we, Terry in HR and myself went through this with our third-party administrator at Rudd & Company. We decided that we liked the loan option. We were okay with the loan option, but we did not want to allow people to take it out permanently, because we just felt like that's not really the reason why we have it. That's not the reason why the city has the match, those reasons. And then and then another one we did is we said if a participant becomes terminally ill, there's a qualification that allows them to take the money out. And we felt like that was wise to include that option. And then probably the biggest thing is we are recommending we're recommending to stay pre-tax on the match. So in other words, if somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to switch from the pre-tax and do it as a Roth, and I want to do 4%, the city's match is 2%. We don't go over 2%. That 2% would still be the pre-tax method that it's being done now. And there were several reasons for that. Administratively, it's pretty cumbersome. It's hard to explain to people. Part of it was that they would end up receiving a 1099 down the road that they would have to include on their tax return from the service provider. And then the other thing is if you do that, if you do the Roth one as a match, they immediately become vested with that money. But if you do it pre-tax, they have to meet the vesting terms that are in the plan. And we felt like it was prudent to not allow that, but keep that match pre-tax, if you will. So those are really the big things. We can talk through any of them if you want to, but we're just basically asking that you adopt the resolution. And then the next step, they have to actually redo the plan document because of all the changes for the Secure 2.0. And eventually we'll get the new plan doc out to the employees. But for now, we would just basically be notifying them that they can do that Roth 401k option.
Okay. Is there any questions about that from anyone for Matt? None? All right. Then if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion to adopt this resolution, number 2026-02.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution 2026-02 and adopt the plan amendments related to the Secure Act 2.0.
All right, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Colin Erickson. Any further questions or anything? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will move to item number 2, which is the review of the annual street report for fiscal year 2025.
Okay, so as Deb pulls this up, we're required every year by the state to publish what's called a streets report. Let's do the summarized one. And we publish it in the newspaper, so if anybody saw it last week, it was there. I happened to notice it. But basically, I'm not going to hit every number, but we, at the beginning of fiscal year 25, we had carried over about 7.1 million. And by the end of 25, we had actually carried over about 9.6 million. And there was a couple reasons for this. Probably the biggest reason was that our reconstruction, we ended up only doing about $242,000 of reconstruction. So when you think about LID projects, most of that work actually didn't happen until after September. And so it's in the new fiscal year. And so, you know, if you compare that to last year, you know, we spent 4.5 million last year, and we only spent about 242,000 on that line. And it was just really the timing, you know, getting that project out.
So then this next fiscal year it'll probably be a really big amount because we'll have
the
fall
one
work in.
as long as the next LID starts this
Yeah,
summer.
that's true.
So yeah, but it will be a lot bigger, right? And then the other thing that I would probably say is we had a tremendous amount of roads contributed to the city, and so that was a big number that I saw in here. We had quite a bit less come in from the state on highway funds because last year they had given almost an extra $1 million, but that went away, and so we got about $1 million less. And then last year we'd got like $2 million in state street grants. We got almost nothing this year, so those are a couple changes. And then the last page, if you want to roll that down, Deb, or I can just roll it down to the last. The thing that we report, even though we carried over 9.6, if you look at our 5-year plan, and I'm not going to go through each street, I've listed them out there, you know, we have about 13.6 million already slated to be constructed over those 5 years. And so I mean, even though the money's there, it's kind of obligated, if you will. Unfortunately, we just don't have the bandwidth to do 5 years of projects in 1 year. And so, but anyways, that's the street report. I don't know if you guys have any additional questions, but we've filed it, published it. The state has the information now.
Just a question, these numbers,
Yes.
are they, when you show that number like 242,000, it seems like such a small number, right? Like you said, in comparison to what you did last year.
Yeah.
So are we talking about projects that were finished and paid for in 2025?
Yeah, and that one specifically is reconstructed.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, you look around the city and look at all these streets that were being ripped out, redone, and they're not yet finished, right? So they're not on the
25.
Okay.
But they'll be on the fiscal year 26.
Okay. All right. That's
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, and the other thing is like if you look at new construction, actually we rolled it down, but new construction streets was 4.4 million.
Yeah.
But that included a huge number of contributed streets. That's from those developers that built subdivisions and then turned those streets over to the city. And then we did actually purchase a lot of equipment. I didn't mention that, but we purchased about $1.3 million of equipment for street maintenance. So.
Yeah, and it's my just kind of interest. I had Keith and who was it that pulled up the information? Farron, yeah, Farron. Couldn't think of his name all of a sudden. Keith and Farron actually pulled up a lot of streets information over the last 10 years. We have repaired or redone over 12 miles of streets in the city of Rexburg. So it's been a lot of projects over the years, and trying to we're still actually trying to catch up from when all of the streets were redone after the flood, and they kind of all started wearing out at the same time. So we're just still trying to catch up with all of that. But all of the people who, a lot of the businesses were struggling along Second South, and but now that the streets are open, they're nice and new and smooth, and people are appreciative of them. I've had several people mention that the streets are really nice that way, and I think they're appreciative of them once they're done. It's really it's a pain when they're in construction for not only residents but businesses, that it really makes them struggle too. So we appreciate the patience of everyone getting all of this stuff done. So anyway, that let's see. Do we need an action item to accept that? What's that?
It's just a report.
It's just a report. Okay, so we don't. That says action item, but apparently we don't need to do anything there.
I guess you can motion to accept it.
To accept it.
I already filed it. It's a done deal.
Well, just to be official, let's entertain a motion to accept the street report, just because I don't want to get in trouble. So does anybody make a motion to accept the street report?
I'll make the motion that we accept the annual street report for fiscal year 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Johnson. Any further discussion or questions? If none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, good. That motion passes. Thank you. We've already got it filed, so we're moving right on. Okay, item B is our Public Works report with our Public Works Director Keith Davidson. Item number 1 is resolution number 2026-03, supporting the cash match for the Transportation Alternative Program, or TAP, grant for the Teton River Connecting Path Extension. So
All right, thank you, Mayor. So we're applying for another grant, another TAP grant. And so where we're looking at is we received a TAP grant to extend. Here, I'll just try. So we received a TAP grant to extend the pathway down along over to here, and then we were going to put a bridge over the river here to kind of create a loop where people could walk. We're looking at applying for another grant to extend the trail. What we'd like to do is see if we can get the trail extended and put the bridge over in this area by where we're going to be building the new park, just to give a little bit longer length for people that would like to utilize that for walking along the river. And so we're just going after that TAP grant. And so what this resolution does is just say that we have the match that we would be applying for, that we have that 7.34% to utilize for the trail. So we're looking at about a little over $600,000 project on that, and so we would be on the hook for about a little over $45,000. So I think it's a good investment if we get the grant.
Yeah, if we can get the grant, that's the key, huh? Are there any questions about this from anyone on that? Okay, if there are none, then I would entertain a motion to move forward with this resolution.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-03.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Reeser. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will go ahead with that item. And item number 2 is the surplus items.
Yeah, so we've got 5 HP printers that we purchased back when COVID was happening and people were working from home, and so we don't have a use for those anymore, and so we're looking to surplus those. So there's 5 of them that we're going to look at getting rid of. So.
Okay, any questions about these items? If none, I would entertain a motion to move forward on this surplus. Is there such a motion?
Mayor, I'll make the motion to surplus these printers.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Riggins. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will go ahead and put those out for surplus. All right, item number, thank you,
No.
Keith. Is any other questions for Keith before we let him off the hook? I see there's one down here.
There's one. Did we get that sign fixed down on Center Street and First South before we stop? Just so.
Yeah, I talked to him. I have to go check, but I
haven't drove past it
I know.
either,
I haven't looked at it after I visited with our street department foreman, Todd. So I haven't been over there to go look at that, but I can check that out tomorrow.
Okay, and I'll try to do the same thing. I just haven't been there, so
Yeah.
I want to know.
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else? Okay, thank you, Keith, appreciate that. All right, item number 9 is the mayor's business. Just to start out with real quick, just a couple of things. I went by the ice arena the other night, and I think it was last week on Thursday night, and it was slammed, busy. There was a hockey tournament going on, and I went out in the parking lot, and I'm like, man, there was like almost 50 cars out there. And I walked around and looked at the license plates, and about half of them were from Montana, and half of them were from Idaho Falls and Rigby and stuff. So I was like, well, that's good. We got sports tourism going on. We're bringing people into town, and hopefully if they're coming from Montana, they're staying in a hotel for the night, eating at the restaurants and things, and helping us out with our economic development a little bit here in town. So I'm excited about that, and we are looking at the end of the month. We've actually already signed the contract to take that building, and at the end of the month, our recreation department is going to do they're going to take over the management of it from Mr. Reneker. So that's going well.
Mayor, can I
yeah,
ask a question?
question.
Are we gonna have, is there gonna be a budget adjustment, or what's gonna happen with that? Is the council gonna see something soon?
Well, we'll have to determine if we might need some budget adjustment depending on how much, if we need extra people to be able to run it and things like that. We do have Parker Anderson, who is looking at, he's got a little bit of experience that way, and so John is working with him to see if he can run it. But depending on how late it goes in the summer and things, we're just trying to kind of figure that all out right now. But as far as the budget adjustment to take the building, no, that's
Well,
not.
yeah, I knew that. I meant
yeah.
operational.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can speak to it. So
Okay.
we've created about 75 accounts for it already, and John has those, and he is looking into seeing kind of what he would need and how much he thinks it costs. And where I got those is I took it from Jason's pro forma. And so we're kind of have that, and he's looking at it, and yes, eventually we would need to come back to you with a budget adjustment, but it would have both revenues and expenses, and so that you get an idea of what we're looking at, hopefully bringing in, and what it would cost.
So right now, it's just being run by city employees that we already have, is what you're saying?
Well, no, it's being run right now still by the
when we take it over,
When we make
is what
the
I
switch
mean.
over, yeah.
When we make the switch.
We're only doing programming, or are we taking on the whole,
No, we'll be taking on the whole thing.
so all the operational costs of that building
Yes.
as well?
And the revenues, which are actually exceeding the costs at this point in time.
Okay.
And again, I think
that's good.
I think the discussion's a little premature at this point, where again, there wasn't and it's maybe being spoken of as a contract. We didn't sign a contract. There was the contract initially signed was it a year ago, Matt? That was the initial private-public partnership. And in there's essentially a clause that they could accelerate. So it wasn't that there was a new contract that wasn't brought through city council or an agreement made. It was an acceleration of a contract that this council had approved. And then, so it's not a contract, it would just be essentially a donation agreement or setting out the terms of donation. So it didn't take further approval by this council to accept the donation. That was already contemplated in that initial agreement. And then in that transition, that's ongoing. So I think the nuts and bolts, how it looks with insurance, with budget, with legalities, any of those things, we hope to have ironed out by February of this year, before any of those matters that would require or necessitate further action by this council has taken place, you'd be fully advised and it would be brought in front of this board. Or excuse me, in front of this council.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarification, Spencer. We appreciate that. Okay. And yeah, anyway, I'm just excited that it's busy, and I've had a lot of people tell me that they've gone over there with their families skating and stuff, and they've had a really good time. So I'm excited about that.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just on a couple of things. I had several people this week just hit me up and said, have you been over there and walked through it since it's been done? And I would encourage at least the council to go over now. We walked through it before it's finished.
Yeah.
To go back over and walk back through it. Now it's done and see what that facility really is.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've had the citizens come up to me and say, wow, it is amazing inside.
Yeah, it's a good idea. In fact, I don't know if you'd like us to set up a time and do a tour. We could certainly do that if you'd like.
I think it'd be great.
Seen it?
You've seen it?
I've seen
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't put skates on yet. I haven't dared do that yet, but I know my kids and grandkids have. So, okay, thank you. Another item I was just going to mention is I was at the Ladies Civic Club Monday doing a presentation for them. Every year they ask me to come in and do a kind of a city update. And, we talk about all the things going on from broadband to transportation to just all kinds of things, what new stores and restaurants are coming to town they want to know about and things like that. But it was at the county library. We use their facility building. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, I was talking to the librarian, Valerie Vale, who, by the way, I think does an excellent job. But she was telling me, she sent me an email afterwards because I was talking about, I said, some places where I go, and you guys may have heard this too, all of you may have heard this, but a lot of times people say, well, because I was in a meeting not too long ago, like just a couple weeks ago, where somebody said something about libraries, and that offhanded comment was, well, if anybody goes to the library anymore. And so I asked her how our library usage was, and she said in June and July, when they do their reading program of this summer, they had 39,100 visits to the library. And in all of 2025, they had 149,377 visits to the library. So people in Madison County go to the library. Yeah, they are. So, and if you go in there, it's jam packed. They've got a lot of stuff in there, and you'll see a lot of families in there reading and doing things. So I think that's awesome, actually. Okay, at this point in time, we have our police facility bond follow-up survey. I've asked Chief Rhodes to visit with us about that a little bit, just to kind of help bring us up to speed on where we're at and where we're going with that. So, Chief, we'll turn the time over to you for a little bit.
Okay. So first off, if I can, I just want to, even though Council Member Walker's no longer here tonight, on behalf of the police department, he was a huge supporter, advocate for the police department, and I wish he was here so we could say thank you. Because even before council member, we worked with him all the time through the fire department and built great community relations with him, so I appreciate his service to our department and to the city. Also, congratulations to the newly elected council members, and we look forward to working with all of you. In regards to the survey, as most of you probably know, and some of you probably have received text messages, the survey went out officially on Monday. We went through an approval process with our group to make sure that all the questions that we were seeking and the information that we were looking for from the city to gather as much information as we can from the public were put into the survey. We reviewed that multiple different times with several of the council members and as a group to make sure that we were asking the things that we were hoping to get answers from the community. So that survey did go out on Monday. A lot of text messages were sent out. We did get a response back from Portman Square Group today, and they said they've had a statistically significant response already at this point. And we're hoping, is it the next council that Amy will present on all the results that they received. So the survey will continue through the 18th. It'll close on the 18th. And I believe all the text messages have been sent out that will be, but the survey is available on the website. I don't know how hard it is to pull this up. So it's really simple. If you just go to rexburg.org, it should pop right up as the first. Yeah, if just on the homepage. Yeah, the follow-up surveys right there, and typically once you first log in, it'll pop up for you, and the survey is available there. So if you are a city resident that's here visiting, we encourage you to jump on the website. It is specific for city residents, but we've received a lot of feedback from members of the county, the community, that have given us some good information back. And so,
Chief, do you mind if we take just a poll here and ask who in this room has received that survey on their phone? Is that anybody did it? Get it? Did you? Okay. I wondered if they were discriminating between men and women on it, because I got it and my son-in-law got it, but my wife and daughter didn't get it. So I asked that question, and they said no. It's just because sometimes if you don't leave your phone number with them when you register, then they don't have a phone number to send it to you. So there's a few things like that determine.
And there are some settings in your phone that you can opt out of that survey. Right. And so if you have opted out of surveys or didn't receive the text message, you can access it through the website, and we encourage you to take the survey, and also encourage you to encourage your family and friends that live in the city to take the survey. We do, even through email, we received a lot of good feedback. A lot of the questions that we believed were concerns have been brought up, but then other concerns that we want to be able to answer questions and address the best that we can. So if we encourage everyone to take the survey, and really we're optimistic that we'll receive some good feedback on what our next move should be. So do you have any questions about the survey?
Any questions for Chief?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
The survey's been out for a week, probably.
No, it just went out Monday, so 3 days now.
Oh, okay. Do you have you received any responses? I mean,
so
she initially get some responses coming in.
Yeah. So as far as the survey company, she said it's a statistically significant amount that have already responded, close to 500 responses already at this point. It's less than 3 days that it's been active, and so that's what we're hoping to just continue to get more responses and feedback.
You know, the crazy thing about surveys is it seems like you said, when we've done surveys before, you get a certain number of surveys, and then once you get beyond that, the results don't change much. When you get to that statistically significant number, you can get thousands more, and the results will be about the same as what that first bunch was. It's just kind of weird that way, but that's the way it's kind of always been. So the fact that we've got quite a few in right from the start, I think, is a good sign. So, yes.
Do we have any idea how many actual phone numbers they had to send it out to? I mean, there's something around 6,000 registered voters within the city.
Yeah, I think so.
And then, do we know what?
There's more than that. There's more than that, isn't there?
Do you know, Matt, how many?
Is there 12?
She didn't give us that number in her. She gave us a report at noon today, and I didn't see the number of how many went out. We didn't.
I mean, I think that would be an interesting number to look at. I mean, statistically significant is awesome, but if they're sending it out to 6,000, to all 6,000, and I'm sure they wouldn't, because there's phones missing and so on. But it would just be interesting to see how many actually went out, so that we can then know what kind of.
Well, and one of the limitations on the survey was they were going to send it to those who voted in at least two of the last four elections. So that would limit it somewhat, because our voter turnout is not not grand sometimes, so.
And those numbers will be in the report, how many that they did send out. So we just don't have all of that information at this point. And Amy, sounds like she will be at our next council meeting to break down, or not be there, but probably Zoom and give us that information.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
When
go
do you
ahead.
expect the results back?
So once it closes on the 18th, it should only be within a day. She'll respond back to us.
Yeah, she knows, our contract with her was to basically have the report ready for your city council meeting. So basically, her turnaround's like, the next one.
Pretty quick.
So she has like 2 to 3 days to get it done.
And I've been pretty impressed with this company. Amy, I think is her name, has been very responsive, man. We ask her questions and she gets right back with us within just a few hours a lot of times, or even quicker, so they've been really good.
Oh, and I can probably mention now too that it actually came in quite a bit less than the budget you guys had passed as
that was
well.
nice.
So that's a positive.
Yeah, that's always good. All right, any other questions for the chief? Okay, thank you, chief. We appreciate your work on that, and the committee that all worked on it. That's been a little bit of a project, but I think it'll be good. All right, let's move on to item number 10. 10A is a resolution number 2026-01 supporting the America 250 in Idaho commemoration and the United States semi-quincentennial. This is required for the $2,500 grant to be used for the celebration from the state of Idaho. So we do have to accept this resolution to be able to accept the $2,500. The state of Idaho actually is giving $2,500 to each city in the state to use for the America 250 celebration. So I would entertain a motion at this time to accept or to approve this resolution.
Can I ask a question first?
Yes, sorry, I didn't ask for questions. I should have.
When I read through it, I really liked how it said we promote maximum involvement of residents, and I remember before we talked about having it be more family friendly. So, and I know we talked about having a committee. Scott Johnson asked if I'd be on the committee. I haven't heard anything yet. So, are we going to have a committee that's going to try to make this more family friendly, like we discussed?
Yeah. In fact, we've. Actually, I'll ask him about that and see if we can. I'll make that a note on that to see if we can get together quickly and start talking about that. We talked about a whole bunch of things, and then we were kind of like, okay, how much of this is realistic and how much of it isn't, and that kind of a thing. But we'll see if we can get everybody together and start putting some things down on paper. And
could you also include me on that committee as well?
Yeah, be happy to. About the 250 committee and include Alicia. Okay, I will do that. Okay. All right. So at this point, then we need to approve this resolution. Is there such a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion that we adopt resolution number 2026-01 supporting the America 250 commemoration.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilmember Tejan. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will tell them we would like to go ahead and accept that grant money. All right, item B, discussion of a possible amendment of ordinance number 1128, which is beer and wine sales in the city of Rexburg. This has to do with the Rexburg Municipal Code number 6.03.1.180, whereas issuance is prohibited to premises in certain locations. Deborah, would you go ahead and tell us what this is all about?
Yeah, so
No, please, you can, I can supplement you.
the
And
gentleman
Spencer,
that
yes,
owns
thank you.
the Indian restaurant on Second West, he's in the old New Fongs building. He came and asked, he is looking to get a beer and wine license to serve alcohol in his restaurant. And unfortunately, he is unable, and it's not because of the church property that is right next to him. That does meet the distance requirement, but it's the dormitory housing across the street. And our ordinance includes college dormitory in that 200 foot distance requirement. And so he requested that we ask the city council to see if that's something that we could amend. So he's able to get that license for that property. Plus, you know.
Sorry, Deborah, is that speaker on, microphone on? The folks in the back are having a hard time hearing you, so maybe if you could speak into the mic just a little bit better.
I think I'm too tall.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so what
Your shoes
part
off.
did you not get?
Basically, do you want me to kind of restate?
So, yeah, so our ordinance says that we have a distance requirement of where alcohol can be sold. And it's 200 feet. It includes schools and college dormitories. And the dormitory house, let's see, I can't remember the name of the property. It's just right across the street from it. It doesn't meet the requirement. It's too close. Even though the church property, which that actually is included in state code, it meets the requirements of 400 feet away. So it's a significant distance. It meets the requirement. It's just that college housing property that's causing the problem. So he's unable to get an alcohol license for that restaurant.
Okay, we can have questions, and then Spencer can help us out here too. So do you want to ask your question first?
Please, go ahead.
Just I read through this. My question was just, what part are we actually? There was no way of telling unless you read the old what we're actually changing. I mean, it seemed very logical to me the way it's laid out here. And so is this what we're looking at, and this is the actual amendment here? This is
no.
We're amending this.
We're asking for your permission to look at it and and what you would suggest.
I'll give you a better reason of why, or I would make the recommendation to at least grant the legal department leave to look at this ordinance. And again, I think it's important to make it very clear from the outset that this application spurred some discussion between Deborah and myself, and then taking a closer look at where there may be issues or conflict with our municipality law and state law. So this is less about trying to expand alcohol access or allowing inappropriate use. I think this is more a request to utilize an ordinance and to make sure the ordinance is in compliance and proper under Idaho law. So the first, and again, there may be some layered issues with this, but the first issue with enforcement would be proximity. So the proper way a municipality can limit beer and wine licenses is through zoning ordinances. Okay, Idaho does not impose a specific proximity restriction for beer retailers. There are some statewide regulations that deal with liquor license permitting and a 1,000-foot requirement to petition a Idaho state liquor store to be in that area. But where it can cause conflict, and if I could give an example quickly, is if we attempt to try to regulate alcohol through proximity or subjective or changeable uses rather than zoning, it can cause conflict when if a restaurant was within a properly zoned commercial area, has received land use approval from the city, holds a valid state license, and then after the fact, somebody opens a dojo where they would say, hey, I give instruction, I give, kindergarten karate lessons to these kids next to that established restaurant, are they now in violation of that code? And so rather than have it be tied to a specific proximity to a building, I would suggest looking at a regulation through zoning, and tightening up our language just to make sure we are in compliance that doesn't cause issues with Idaho State Code. Now, Idaho State Code does grant municipalities authority in some areas. There's a distinction between liquor, beer, and wine, and how we can issue those licenses. Again, they're nuanced legal discussion or a nuanced legal analysis of some of those things. Again, I don't think we're attempting to really change anything. To me, it's rather the mechanism in which we enforce, and if challenged, do we have the legal foundation to say, no, we have proper authority to limit it or restrict it in this manner? And so, again, I talked with Deborah before this meeting. Is it best to just ask for leave to amend just this specific statute or anything that we would think could be in conflict with Title 23 of the Idaho Code? And then again, before we do any changes, anything like that, it would be brought before this board and laid out, Council Member Riggins, of where we're at, the changes it would be, and then why we're requesting that change.
Councilmember Erickson has a question.
Yeah.
Please.
So I pulled up the municipal code for Idaho Falls, Rigby, and St. Anthony, and their language is identical to those three communities, and and ours is by far more restrictive by
correct
what's allowed and what isn't, as far as things like places where high school or college students assemble. Those kinds of things could be very difficult to enforce. So please.
Another distinction between us and everybody else is we don't allow liquor by the drink, and that's big. That's a big difference between how they've formatted theirs versus how we've done ours as well. So,
but to that end,
anyway, it's basically their licensing.
Sure.
I think anyway. What I'm saying is, you need to take a look at their ordinances.
And I've looked at it, and again, to me, this request isn't a request to say, "Hey, let's become more or less restrictive." It's how you can restrict in a lawful and defensible way, and so, and in a sustainable way, and so. I would request that leave to be able to present, and because again, if I'm being very frank with this council, there's this subsection specifically is in conflict with Idaho law, and I'm not sure it's defensible. And so from that standpoint, when I find something that is not defensible within a local ordinance, I request leave from this council to then make the necessary changes, or at least suggest the necessary changes to come within compliance where we believe it's defensible.
So did you not send us out the code, I think it was 23-300, that showed what the state code was for restricting beer licenses? It was 200 or 300 feet from a public school, period.
Again,
just a public school.
But again, a distinction between liquor, beer, and wine.
Well, it was alcohol. It said alcohol. So I'm assuming that means any alcohol.
Again, I can't speak. So I believe the subsection that you're referring to speaks to liquor.
Well, okay.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Erickson.
Reading this and understand the state law and how I think there's some conflict here. I think it'd be due just for us to let our legal counsel look this over, go through it, and present to us in a way that we understand what's best and what's best for our city to defend and to cover. So I think that's a great suggestion that our council brought up. I think we should do that and then come back on this.
Okay. All right. Is there any other questions or comments before we move forward on this item then? All right, if not, then I would entertain a motion. Oh, sorry.
I have a question, if I could.
Okay, Mr. Barnard, if you would please come up to the microphone and state your name and phone, not your phone number, your address. We don't.
Corey Barnard, I live at 585 South 4th East.
Yes.
I'd be concerned that if we opened up the ordinance number 1128, that will open up all the language in that ordinance. And there may be some that we want to be less restrictive or more restrictive with in that ordinance.
Okay.
So
all right. Well,
just be
thank
careful.
you. We will take that into account. And if you've got any advice for our legal counsel,
Oh, I don't.
Since I know that you've owned you've managed restaurants and things, then
it's an issue.
Would be open to your advice. So.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate that. All right. Yes.
When we're
Councilmember
doing that, Spencer, could you also present the problems that we might encounter by doing it by zoning? If there's any like disadvantages to doing it that way versus the way we have.
Sure. And
Like,
again,
give us
any
like
of
the
those,
pros and cons.
I always defer to the council as to how restrictive, or essentially it's, hey, this is what we want to do. Now, this is the mechanism in which we enforce it. And so if we can, if I think that this council could come up with substantially the same type of restriction, but to do it in a more defensible way. And then again, I think I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't present in that presentation, say, here's the fallout. Because of this, these are the restrictions that are now either more restrictive or less restrictive. And so again, but before we go down that path, Deborah and myself thought we would ask leave from the city council before making those changes. Because again, it would be, I don't intend to operate in a vacuum, look at different counties. Again, we're unique in what we do, but then also have the appropriate discussions with the Idaho Liquor Commission and make sure that they don't see any issues that are problematic moving forward.
Okay, is there anything else? Yes, Councilmember Johnson.
And yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I like how you said that you're not saying it's necessarily going to be less restrictive, because I personally believe in like minors. And so I'm in favor of trying to keep it away from minors. So yeah, so thank you for framing it that way.
Yeah, I'm not trying to plan a beer bash at Viking Stadium, but not yet though.
Okay, thank you. That's a good comment too. All right, any other questions? Okay. All right, well, with that then, I would entertain a motion to move forward with item number B here, the ordinance number 1128.
So are we moving forward to table it?
Well, no, not to table it, just to, yes.
Or just look at it?
Yes, yeah.
I'll make that motion to move forward and have our legal counsel look at this and come back and present to us.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilmember Riggins. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you. All right, item number C, to consider a public art project and possible budget adjustment of the Art Promulgation Fund. And we'll have our Cultural Arts Director, Jed Platt, and our CFO, Matt Nielsen, present on this item.
Okay, let me just start, and then Jed will have you jump in. But when we went through the budgeting process last May, so that was in, we had talked about whether we wanted to do some public art, but rather than put it into the line item,
I'm a little later than usual.
they actually, the people that were in there recommended that we put it into contingency, and then any proposals of art come before you. And then if you want to pull it out of contingency, then you put it into the line item for that capital. Does that make sense? And so it was just a way for you guys to kind of see what the options were and then decide whether you want to move it into the budget. And so that's kind of where we're at. I do have a write-up on the budget adjustment that I can go through now, or I can go through after Jed presents it. How do you guys want to do it? You want to go through the budget first, or do you
Yeah,
want to have Jed?
let's have him present it, and then we'll see what the damages are.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In 2026, we celebrate several community significant milestones, including America's 250 and the 50th anniversary of the Teton Dam flood disaster and recovery. And so in honor of these two defining events, for your consideration, we're proposing these two pieces of art as a visual representation of our community values and strength. This first piece is a wood assemblage, if you can kind of see through that. This particular piece is approximately 4 feet by 4 feet. And the things that it helps to represent for our community, of course, the homes in it as family. But this piece is created by found pieces of wood. And so, again, to our history of putting our community back together, I think this is a really fun story, or way to tell our story of our resilience and coming together to create this cohesive community. So it speaks to our unity, our vibrancy with the color, our resilience, and then finally with service, as we're commemorating our history, and especially the flood, as much as the disaster part and how it impacted our community, we were focusing a lot on service and how this community came together. And so this would serve as a backdrop to part of our hallway out here, which will be an ongoing cubicle for current service opportunities that you can rally around now, just like you were inspired by the flood exhibit that will be in this building. We can come to this piece of art and a display by the Just Serve of ways that we can make a difference now. So this is piece number one, and it would be purchased in commemoration of America 250, as we are America's family community.
And so the display location would be here as part of this?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, it would be in this hallway, which would be accessible most hours that this building is open.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea, is that people can come visit that and see, how can I make a difference now in our community and connect in this way.
Okay. Yeah, question.
So in the hallway, are you talking about the little alcove?
Yes.
So hanging it in that area?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the found wood is from where? Is
It's
it
just reclaimed, recycled wood.
right from here, from this area?
Not
or-
necessarily, yeah. Okay, I think on the slide, it didn't play on the MP3, okay.
All the wood that was here got washed away. Hang on. All the wood that was here got washed away.
Okay, this is a representation. The piece that would be created for us would be a custom piece, but this is a representation of the type of art. It's a kinetic art piece. There are marbles that generate through the piece. In this one, they come down those sun rays and through the tree and then come back up. The piece that we're proposing would be representative of our waterways. We're wanting to do something a little more interactive with our Flood 50 exhibit. And so visitors could hand crank the series of marbles that would accumulate at the top until they get to a breaking point, like our Teton Dam, and then they would funnel through the waterways in our area. The sound is very engaging. And just the engineering of it too, I think underscores the rest of the exhibit of how our environment and engineering came together. And so I think this would be a really dynamic piece. I like that it could be mobile. So if the flood exhibit moves somewhere else to a future location, it's something that could go with us. It's not like a mural that's painted on the wall that we couldn't take with us.
Yeah, questions?
How big is that second piece?
The second piece is approximately 3 feet by 5 feet.
Like 5 feet tall?
Correct.
Okay.
And that would also be displayed here?
Yes, and so in what has been the hatchery space will be the new Teton Dam flood exhibit, and so it would be part of that exhibit.
So it would look different than this. Rather than being the tree motif, it would be rivers and waterways?
Correct. It would be a custom piece. The artist sent me just a little concept, very rough, saying he would engineer something, but that would tell more of our story that's significant to where we are. The other piece is something that he created for another community.
Is he local, or where is the artist?
Carl Hale currently lives in Utah.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? All right. Let's talk about the finance part of it then.
Okay, so Deb will pull up the budget adjustment here. So just so everybody knows, this budget adjustment is within Fund 36, which is Art Promulgation Fund. And so there's a whole ordinance behind this fund. And essentially the way that money comes into this fund is we charge 1.25% to projects in the city. We are limited on what projects you can charge. And so from the get-go, we've never allowed charges on street projects because we don't want to take more street money. And then we did have some times where we allowed water and sewer, but that stopped last year. We stopped doing that. And so we really are only charging it as you think of projects to governmental type projects. So if you think of like a new park, anything at the Romance Theater or the Tabernacle, those kind of things. And so it has, with the recent changes, we will see quite a bit less coming in each year into that fund. And so keep that in mind. The other thing that we've seen over the last few years, and when I say few years, I'm talking about like 25 and then even this current fiscal year 26. You guys should have seen the kind of the 5-year breakdown, and Deb can pull that up too. We have transferred or are planning to transfer in 26 quite a bit into different capital projects in the venues, if you will. And so like the Romance Theater last year in 25, we transferred about 55,000. Next year, we're showing 20,000. And then in the Tabernacle next year, we're showing 60,000. And that's to help with the project that's going on over there at the Tabernacle, the big HVAC project, And so we do have quite a few transfers there. We have also in the past transferred to help cover wages in Fund 81, which is the Cultural Arts Fund. And you can see like in 23, it was about 20,000, then 25,000. It's gotten a little larger the last few years. It's closer to 55,000. And so what has happened is because of all of these transfers and the fact that, we're forecasting a little less money coming in, there's just going to be a little less money available for this type of thing in the future. And then I also would say that we'll probably have to stop in fiscal year 27 having that subsidy going to Fund 81 and probably look to the general fund to have an increased subsidy to help cover that. And so I kind of mentioned this up front, hopefully that made sense, but when we were in the budget meeting last year, rather than actually put this into a line item for public arts, we had actually said, put it into contingency, come back and present the ideas, and then we'll decide whether we pull it out of contingency and put it into the project. And so that's why Jed has brought these two ideas. And if you look at the budget adjustment, and he gave you, I can't remember if he covered the prices, but the first one was about $6,500, and the second one for the Teton Dam would be about $15,000. So the request would be a total of about $21,500. So hopefully that makes sense. But anyways, that's the budget, and that's the kind of the resources where that would be coming from.
Okay, all right. Discussion. Anyone, what are your thoughts? Anyone?
I have another question.
Yes.
So how long will these be on display? The art pieces?
They would be permanent. They would be owned by the city, and so we could
I think they'd
use them indefinitely.
Permanent displays, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we want to express personal opinions, I like them. I think they tell the story of our community and in a tasteful way. Really, the Arts Promulgation Fund was kind of the idea of it was to fund some things like this. Some cities, they'll do statues of something, and I know it was used in the past for the statuary in the roundabout was one of the things that it was used for, and so I think some things like this are nice to be able to help tell our story. As Matt said, it had been used from time to time to pay some of the people in the Cultural Arts Department, but when Jackie was here, I asked her to try to work her budget so that we weren't using it for wages, because I didn't feel like that was really what the intent of it was to pay wages. I felt like it was to save money to be able to do some public art pieces that help tell our story. And I think these are pretty nice pieces that do that. I don't know how the rest of you all feel, but I would be in favor of doing this, and if the rest of you are, you can let us know. And I guess we'll vote on it, and then we'll see, right?
Real quick though, when would these be available? If we were to approve this, how long would it take for these pieces to be completed and then be able to get them up for display?
So they would be available for our Flood 50. So we're doing a ribbon cutting on the new exhibit on May 1st. And so they would be available for those. So it's a matter of
pretty quick
of engaging the artists, as again, they will be custom pieces for our community. And so just letting them know.
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor, one other question.
Yes, go ahead.
So on the budget here, do we know that's what it's gonna cost? We're not gonna come back and say, this is $10,000 more, $5,000.
The time overrun kind of thing.
Those specific pieces, those are the prices of those pieces.
Okay.
It's not like a construction job. Yeah.
Those add-ons I always worry about.
All right, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to move ahead with this budget adjustment then, if there's such a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve this budget adjustment.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Council President Eric Erickson. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. Let's go ahead and get that artist going. Okay, all right. Thank you, Jed and Matt. We appreciate that information. All right, item number 11 is, item number 11, we have no second readings or third readings. So, and we've already done our, consent calendar, right? So I would just mention to you before we adjourn that next meeting, of course, is going to be at the Romance Theater. We're going to do we're going to call it the Passing the Torch ceremony. You'll all receive an invitation in your email, so watch for that. But it's, of course, the January 21st. We'll have a little reception where we'll have in the lobby of the Romance, where we'll have some light refreshments and have an opportunity for the public to come in and thank our previous council members and visit with all of you, current council members, and just visit with you about anything that they'd like. And then at about 6 o'clock, we'll start, the induction ceremony. And then as soon as we get done with that, we'll have our council meeting there. We will do just some. You probably remember from 2 years ago when we did this kind of same thing. We have some musical numbers, and I've talked with the choir director and the band directors at the high school, doing some musical numbers for us, as well as the police. I mean, not the police department, but the fire department. Bagpipers, yeah, have them they're gonna help us out with that too. So I think it'll be kind of a fun event, but just put that on your calendar, and we will plan on meeting there next time.
What time does it begin?
The reception will start at 5:30. Yeah, in the Romance lobby. Okay, all right. If there's nothing else, we stand adjourned. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate